John Scully, you're a former CEO of Pepsi and Apple. The shares of both companies are having a bad time at the moment. In which would you invest?
Well, I'm still very enthusiastic about the world economy. Of course, there are challenges now. We see that the U.S. is still very healthy as a world economy. The EU is having bigger challenges. We're still having to use quantitative easing in this part of the world. There's a big flow of refugees coming in that's causing concern. There's the concern about Brexit, whether the UK will stay in. There's concern about Greece. So all of these things make the environment somewhat fragile. But if you look at it in a broader scope, I believe that the world is not going to have a major recession. I believe companies like Apple will continue to do well. I think that Apple is being underestimated in just how strong it is. And I am quite optimistic on a lot of fronts. It doesn't mean there won't be challenges with low price of oil. Obviously, it's causing a big issue for many of the natural energy companies. And of course, with the slowdown in China, it's causing a problem for the commodity companies as well.
Which industry are you very confident at the moment? Are there special ones?
Well, I'm particularly active in fintech, and I'm one of the board members and investors in a fintech company in the United States, which is called Neft. We're building the next generation of consumer credit finance, which enables consumers to be able to improve their credit score, which means to lower the interest rates they have to pay to buy high-ticket items. We think that's going to be a major fintech company. And I'm also very much involved in health tech. We're building the first cloud-based PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Management Company in the United States. Already in our first year, will do about $400 million of booked revenue. We're looking at over $1 billion of booked revenue for 2017. So these businesses are on very large scale able to take technology, apply it to practical sectors in the industry, and to reduce costs and open up new opportunities for growth.
So you think the future of banking is going to be very challenging?
Well, I think the focus on banking has been largely around the new regulatory environment of Basel III. In the U.S., it's around Dodd-Frank. It's redefining what the boundaries of traditional banking is. Things like fintech that were looked at as kind of curiosity a few years ago. Then suddenly the banks started to invest in them. Now all of a sudden the banking systems around the world are realizing that fintech, which is the lightly regulated side of banking and the ability to use technology in novel ways, that fintech is actually becoming mainstream. And so I think we're going to see many multi-billion-dollar companies in fintech. There are already probably over 20 companies that have in excess of $3 to $20 billion of market value. I think we're going to see quite a few more. And the banking system, I think, is going to be a big investor and a big partner in these types of fintech new companies.
Switzerland has a lot of big banks, and there are also many fintech startups. What do you recommend the big banks? Should they embrace the new industry?
Well, I think they cannot ignore it. I mean, obviously, the music industry ignored the early days of digital music and lost out. The newspaper industry initially ignored digital as a alternative to print media, and we saw the results. I think the banking system understands it has to take fintech seriously. Doesn't mean every fintech company is going to be successful. For example, I'm not sure Bitcoin will be a long-term survivor, but I do believe that blockchain, which is the way in which legends are distributed, can greatly reduce the cost of counterparty trades, and that may well be fundamental as one of the digital building blocks of the future.
One last question. We were talking about Apple at the beginning, and now my question is, Apple also introduced a paying system. Is Apple going to become a bank?
Well, I think there are going to be much less clear lines between who is in what part of the financial transaction business and who isn't. Clearly, Apple is going to be a long-term player in payments. So will other companies too. Not everybody has an Apple device. But changing the payment system, as Apple is doing with Apple Pay, is not something that happens in 1 year. It's probably a 3, 4, 5 year transformation, because it requires changing of terminals at the retail. It means changing the way in which discounts and coupons are delivered. It means getting people accustomed to new ways of behaving. So you have to look at it in the context of many years, much like online banking was something that didn't happen overnight. It took at least a decade to become mainstream.